Hey you guys, Nick. Today in this video we are going to be doing some parkour, and the camera's messed up. Okay, so hey you guys, Nick. Today in this video we are doing parkour. The season 1, season 2, and I'm doing the last bit. I will do all the other bit.
I do believe that the majority of people who are finding these are not setting out.
This is like a miniature nether fortress.
But there are people out there that are very focused on trying to see if they can disrupt operations. And for those people,
that's how you make the wither.
That we will take enforcement action. They're breaking the law. They're putting lives in danger, and that's something that has to stop.
Michael Berta is the head of the Federal Aviation Administration. Michael, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Two of the plaintiffs in the nation's landmark same-sex marriage case tied the knot yesterday. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in June that couples like April DeVore and Jane Rouse have a constitutional right to get married. As Michigan Radio's Tracy Samuelson reports, their road to the high court and this weekend vows was a long one.
April DeVore wore a white gown with lace and beading on the bodice. Jane Rouse wore a suit. Beside them were their 4 children, Rianne, Riley, Nolan, and Jacob. DeVore's vows included a nod to their long and unusual journey to this day.
I already know this. Maze.
You would have brought me 4 beautiful kids, and I needed to do it. I needed to the Supreme Court.
Normally I'm not good at
During
this.
their relationship, Rouse and DeVore had each adopted 2 children because Michigan law didn't allow unmarried couples to jointly adopt. When they sued solely for joint adoption
What's
rights
this?
for
Jetpack?
Federal District
Oxygen
Judge
helmet?
Friedman told them they had to
I'll
amend
bet
their
fast,
lawsuit
so I'll find my way out.
and challenge Michigan's same-sex marriage ban.
I don't believe this jetpack. I don't think a jetpack would work.
Eventually, their case was consolidated with others and made its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which in June.
Guys, I do not think a jetpack would actually
same-sex
work.
couples have a constitutional
I mean,
right
this
to
looks like a
marry.
chain
And
chest
yesterday,
plate.
that same federal judge,
Whoa!
Freedom, performed the ceremony.
Everyone.
Look at me. Wait, where's my arm? My arm. Hold on.
DeVore and Rouse are heroes.
Oh, I
to
guess.
support gay civil rights.
I guess
So
it
their
is
small
oxygen.
and humble wedding turned out to be much more lavish, with the wedding planner, the bridal shop, the jeweler, the DJ, all offering their services.
Sweet guys, I got my own jetpack. I think I know where I'm supposed to go.
And the United States.
To the ending.
I hereby pronounce you lawfully married spouses.
Okay, guys.
After the
Stop
vows
flying.
and the hugging and the photographs, the couple's attorney, Dana Nessel, said this ceremony was
And it
no
says you
different
win.
from others she has.
Season 1.
I really think that we're gonna look back at
This is just,
I think that people
Guy's
will
ship,
be,
but I don't want to
as to
stay.
why this was such a
I
big deal
mean,
in the
when it
first
says you
place.
win,
And I
that
think
means
that
you're done.
Same-sex marriage won't be
Those are
same-sex
guns.
marriage anymore. It'll just be marriage.
After a family honeymoon in Florida, the couple plans to return to what they call normal.
That's
working
my ship.
Alternate midnight nursing shifts, getting the kids
And this is
bathed,
the saving
dressed,
ship.
fed, and off to school.
Has
Everything they've
4
been doing all
guns.
along for their family. With one
I'm
difference
going to
now.
level
They have wedding rings on
2
their fingers.
Mario Kart
and
because it
crazy
seems
families.
pretty fun. Should I cheat now? I'm not a cheater. If I need to, I will cheat.
Hi, it's John Mello, the host of Wits, the show on your radio. Wits is laughs,
The heights of funny that you didn't know you could climb to?
Yoda's
conversations,
probably on my back. He's probably like,
songs, and
I
surprises.
believe I can.
And another thing, the word is
Yeah, I kept my.
It's some of the biggest names in comedy and music.
No, I have not played this at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do level 1.
This student's American Life, having applied for a job that he found on Craigslist, working for a celebrity hidden camera prank show, and he got it. I got the job. They said they couldn't discuss who the celebrity was.
How many votes is that?
It's gonna be like the other Hilton sister.
Gonna have to take my jetpack
Vanilla
off,
Ice.
guys.
Look at that big. It's so
And
shocking.
my
No kidding.
oxygen.
Prepare to have your mind blown.
Is my hoodie gonna be on?
This evening at 10.
Nope. I'll leave my oxygen on.
I'm Louise Giovanni with these headlines. Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid has announced he is supporting the U.S. nuclear deal with Iran. He says he will do everything in his power to ensure the deal survives. Britain has reopened its embassy in Tehran almost 4 years after it was attacked by Iranian hardliners. Iran's embassy is again open in London. The Americans who
Forgot I have the
coordinated
Jedi
a major
powers.
attack on a high-speed train to Paris spoke to a reporter today. U.S. Airman Spencer Stone said he'd just awakened from a nap to see the accused gunman with an assault rifle. That's when he and his companions brought down the heavily armed attacker, who also wielded a box cutter. I'm Louise Giovanni, NPR News,
So
Washington.
cool. Woo! You see how high I jump? Whoa. Ow.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and
Screen
consumers.
this.
Automotive partner of the National Park Service.
What,
and
Jedi's cannot handle
Subaru
this?
encourages people to explore America's treasures and discover a national park adventure at findyourpark.com.
And I didn't even.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru. From AT&T. With AT&T, the network is on demand, the office is mobile, and the cloud is designed for high security. Learn more at att.com.
I might just keep my jetpack on.
And from the listeners who support this NPR station.
Don't I have that
It's all
super
been
jump
considered from
anyways?
NPR West. I'm Tess Bigland. Archaeologists in Afghanistan are uncovering a spectacular complex of
super
Buddhist temples. The site is called Mes Aynak, and it's being incorrectly protected by an unlikely ally, a
Definitely gonna
Chinese
die.
copper mining conglomerate.
What's this?
NPR's Hannah Block writes about it in the September
Can I turn
issue
into
of
a
National
helmet?
Geographic
Turn
magazine.
a helmet
They've
in?
been coming up with a spectacular array of finds. There
Then I'm gonna
were
have to
thousands
die.
of Buddhist statues, ancient frescoes on the walls, manuscripts
jump.
that are being deciphered, cascades of old copper coins from that
Hey.
era, from 1500 or 2000
So much
years
lag.
ago. And they've also found evidence
Do y'all
that
see
there
that
was
lag?
copper mining done in antiquity
Ow.
on a huge,
Super
almost
jump.
industrial
Woo!
scale.
All right.
yeah, I
well,
forgot
when
Jedis
we're
have
talking
super
about
speed.
Parkour, it is a
Which I'm not
stunning
using.
amount that is under all these shrines and monuments, and the Afghan government has basically leased the mining rights for the
why did
area
I
to
do
a
that?
Chinese company. What kind of
I'm
money?
not
are we
good with
talking
super
about?
speed.
I mean, in terms of quantity of
Sing
copper,
it.
it's been estimated to be 12.5 million tons of copper. It's one of the largest copper deposits in the
I'm just super
world.
jumping.
And the Afghan government did lease the
Ow, I
rights to a
suck at
Chinese
super
mining consortium, and it was a $3 billion deal, which was unprecedented in Afghan history. And the mine industry has been estimating that this would bring in a huge windfall to the Afghan economy, which, you know, it's been dependent on foreign
Really
aid for
fast
such a
and
long
hard.
time.
Then, can you give us some sense of how close the copper mining is to the
No.
excavation area? I mean, how much
A little
of a
too
threat is that
fast.
in terms of trying to make sure that you don't knock out any of the priceless history?
Well, there's actually no mining going on at the moment, and it's going to be
Oh,
several
super
years
jumping.
before any mining
Ooh,
is
that
going
was
to
good
begin. There's
super
been a
jump.
number of
Woo!
delays in getting this underway. And because of all the delays in the mine, this has been to the archaeologists' advantage. In fact, it's only because of the mine that the archaeology community raised concerns about
I'm not a
it being
cheater?
lost, that money was put into the archaeological dig. So in a funny way, it's actually the mine that is helping the
Oh,
archaeology.
I'm super jumping.
Let's talk about security. This story comes on the heels of ISIS beheading a Syrian
That's
archaeologist in the ancient city of Palmyra. A
gonna
reminder
super
certainly
speed
how
down
dangerous
there.
it can be to preserve and study ruins in these war zones. What precautions
No,
are being
no,
taken at
no.
this site in Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's a huge concern, and there is an enormous
What is this?
security presence at this site. Something like 1,700 paramilitary police patrolling the whole site. And the Chinese camp that was built for the Chinese engineers who
Super
were going to be
speed.
working on the mine and plans for the mine.
I'm gonna
It was
super jump.
rocketed a couple of years ago, and
Super
it's
jump.
been abandoned since then. They haven't been back.
Hannah, you reported from Afghanistan for years. You were in Kabul on September 11th. This area of this archaeological dig also has
super jump
modern
back up.
history. It was used as an Al-Qaeda
Really
training camp.
I need my
That's right.
jetpack.
It's so strange to think about it, but the 9/11 Commission said that Nasainak was the site of an elite Al-Qaeda training camp in the
Jetpack
1990s.
power.
And in fact, some of the 9/11 hijackers were trained at this very place. So I was taken to a cave
jetpack again.
that was used by the fighters. I was taken by one of the archaeologists. The ceiling is completely blackened
I'm flying
from
over
the
there.
US firebombs from late 2001. And he sort of showed me around. It's basically the living quarters for these Al-Qaeda fighters. And he pointed out a stone slab and he said, well, here's a sofa. And
I did it all.
he just said, this too is a kind of archaeology, and it really brings it home that this is going to be studied in the future, this part of Afghanistan's long history, with just hope the country's
Kiss
people
my
peaceful
booty.
days.
NPR's Hannah
No, I
Block
have the
writes about
jetpack. I
this
don't even need to
archaeological
finish
effort
the
in
level.
Afghanistan in the September issue of National Geographic
levels.
magazine. Hannah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for speaking with me about this.
The United States has
Speed.
become far too dependent on military bases abroad. That's the argument of a new book by anthropologist David Vine. It's called Base Nation, How U.S.
super
Military
jump.
Bases Abroad Harm America
Super
and
jump.
the World.
Now.
When I spoke with Vine earlier this week, I began by asking him exactly how big the U.S. military footprint
Wow,
is.
I
overseas.
slipped.
We have somewhere around 800 U.S.
I need
military
super jump
bases
on that.
outside
Woo!
of the 50 states
I
and
love
Washington,
this
D.C.
power.
And there are hundreds of
super
thousands
jump.
of
Woo!
troops and hundreds of thousands of family members living on and around these bases.
Well, let's talk history for a moment. What was the original reasoning for these bases, and how were they received by the countries we built them in to start with?
The vast majority of U.S. bases overseas were built during or after World War II. Many of them, of course, were in Germany and Japan, so they were bases of occupation initially, and over time transitioned to bases that some locals felt were a continuation of occupation, and
No, I
others
don't wanna fall.
embraced in a variety of ways.
I cheated.
But this network, really unprecedented network of bases, grew up in World War II, shrunk a bit after the end of the war, and then basically has stayed in place ever since. There was a shrinkage of the base network
Well, I
at the
can't
end
climb
of the
fast.
Cold War, but a massive network
What's in it?
of still, at that point, around 1,000 bases
I need
remained
it,
in
I
place.
guess.
What was the first sign that maybe not everybody wanted these bases to stick around?
I think there were tensions almost immediately in Germany and Japan in particular,
You
where these
win!
bases were
Oh, I guess I only won
helping
that one.
U.S. troops and Allied troops to occupy the enemy territory. But I think we saw pretty quickly as the
Okay,
Cold
that's
War
all 3
developed.
levels.
We see France
4th level is
evict
a
the
win.
United States in the mid-1960s.
I can
We
jump
see
that.
countries like Trinidad and Tobago evict the United
That's
States
easy to
also in the
jump.
1960s, and we see growing protest movements in places like Okinawa that continue to the present.
No, I don't want to go back in
And
here.
what is the reason? Why does the U.S.
Oh.
get kicked out?
Largely, people, of course, don't like their land occupied by foreign
I'm going
troops, and I think it's worth thinking for American audiences to think about how it would feel to have foreign troops living next door, occupying your land with tanks.
I think
But
I
there have
might
also
want to
been a
use my
number
jetpack.
of harms that these bases have inflicted on local communities. There have been accidents, crimes committed by U.S. personnel, environmental damage, a whole range of damage that people were quite upset
I
about.
get
David, in a
it's
post
not
9/11 world, what is the argument against having bases around the globe? Because logic would seem to dictate that this is exactly the time when you should have them.
I think
I'll
that's
be
a
right back,
question
guys.
that many are asking, and I'm pleased to report that
See you later,
there are
guys.
actually
Leave a like,
people
subscribe.
across the globe, in fact, this is one of the
Bye.
rare bipartisan issues